Have a horse that won the Superimpose, has a flattish run perhaps in the Caulfield Classic, and then wins the Derby, as we saw Extra Brute do last year. Taken forward after jumping well from 10 was probably something that caught a few of us maybe a bit by surprise, but got a little bit of a cut across with Craig Williams taking Long Jack forward from 15.
Yeah, including the rider, and of course this was the point where Mark Zahra popped off the fence, won Corey, and ended up sort of 3 wide, not long after. So
drew the 1 barrier, ended up 3 wide around the back near the 1800, so a little bit disappointing, but a smart ride by Ollie. You know, this is why they put good jockeys on in these big races. Like, he was obviously instructed to be midfield where the horse has been previously racing, but once the horse bounced the lids really, really well, Ollie had not many options, but he just went forward, sat outside the lead, and then come back and give the horse every chance. But I just loved how the horse come back underneath him after giving him a squeeze. It's the signs of a really, really good horse.
He made Mark Zahra do that extra little piece of work to get around him, so he knew where Mark Zahra was. He was just trying to take a little bit of energy out of Mark Zahra, and then ends up in the perfect 1-1 for the remainder of the trip.
We've got the raw sectionals on there as well, and to the eye and looking at the raw sectionals, it was just an even tempo. It wasn't probably closer to being a touch slower. You can see thought of that almost head on the chest, and they've gone forward there with Long Jack as well. But ultimately the winner's been in the 1-1. We had, of course, Soul Patch, who was 3 back to fence, a touch keen. He's running the frame, and Southern Moon. So midfield or better seemed to be the right spot. Shadow Hero got a long way back. We'll discuss that a little bit further, but probably just too far out of his ground. Maybe the ground was a factor, I'm not sure, but ultimately Nigel was never really in the hunt.
He was a bit flat-footed from the 800 to the 400, but his last 200 he was reasonably strong. I know he's been beaten a long way, but he looked like he was going to finish in the second half of the field at the top of the straight.
Let's pick up Matt Hill's call of warning, taking them apart in the Derby for Oliver and Friedman.
Next he is getting going from the back, and Lucky Edward under heavy pressure at the rear. 600 metres to go, and it's Long Jack with thought of that, and warning the outside. The big hopes up there with Craftsmanship, Relucent. Soul Patch got off the fence at a crucial stage. Then Southern Moon Translator. Shadow Heroes a long way off the lure. In the straight at the 400, it's warning moving up to Long Jack. Then thought of that, Soul Patch, Relucent. Now Southern Moon digging in. Warning goes for home at the 300 metres. 2 lengths to Soul Patch and Southern Moon. Still warning at the clock tower. Lead still by a length and 3/4 Soul Patch and Southern Moon. But warning is brave. 100 metres to go. It's warning. 2 lengths Southern Moon. And it's Damien Oliver and warning to win the Derby. 3 lengths Southern Moon. Soul Patch third.
Where, Corey, the inside might be chopped away more to the outside, etc.
It's going to wear, obviously, because they keep going over it. But even in the straight there, you look, they're not kicking up any clods. I spoke to the boys several times yesterday, and they said it's more surface water lying in the grass, and it's more of the spray that was coming back at them. Of course, again, they're going to get into it because they're going over it so often. But I reckon the track raced unbelievably well.
Incredibly well.
If you go back 6 or 7 years, the VRC really focused when they rebuilt the track. They spent a significant amount.
Southern Moon into second, backs up its Geelong Classic and Derby Trial seconds, ran the quickest 6 to the 2 yesterday, and also good performance from Soul Patch. Peaked on its run a little bit, but coming off the 7-day backup in the Vase was great. But to the winner go the spoils, and a tremendous training performance, but also, as we mentioned off the top, Damien Oliver's ride and the way he was able to pace it delivered a victory.
Oh, it was a fantastic ride, and look, there's a lot of rhetoric. For spare a thought as well for Martin Harley, done a fair bit of work with this horse and obviously lost the ride. There was a lot of talk about another rider losing the ride on a key rival, but he had been on board here and replaced by Damien, who produced the goods. But the winner was dominant.
I think there'll be a lot of form that comes out of this race too. I mean, he's the sort of horse that you could see progressing on to an AJC Derby and a Caulfield Cup next year. He's just got that, really dour pedigree and just keeps on finding the line.
Both Mitch Friedman, of course, the trainer of Southern Moon, and also Ken Keys, trainer of Soul Patch, were absolutely thrilled with their horse's performance. Massive smiles on their faces, almost like they'd won the race just because their horse was able to prove themselves in the tough conditions and finish off really strongly. I think the winning move with Damien Oliver aboard warning was what he did out of the barriers, because if he had have gone back, taken that option to be a little more conservative and to be back where Shadow Hero was, he would have just had too much to do. And when we talk about the beaten favourite Shadow Hero, certainly Mark Newnham thought that he was starting to get going late Mike, as you had pointed out, his best work was probably his final 200 metres, but he just got too far out of his ground. They think that he failed to pick up in the wet. Obviously, he sprints, he's certainly more dynamic on top of the ground. But it was also the first time Shadow Hero's been tested under that sort of pressure, and all of these things came to the result that we saw.
Left-handed, and it was quite a neutral, maybe slightly negative ride. Like he was
That's
further
it.
back in the field than I thought he would be.
I agree.
And then the race shape didn't. Sometimes the field sort of condenses, and all of a sudden you're there.
They weren't going quick enough.
But they weren't going quick enough, and he was just getting further and further away from the bunny.
He did wobble in the straight as well. It's quite noticeable on the head-on. He wobbled right out in the straight.
And all that said, he was only 2 lengths off Southern Moon, I think, at about the 600. And Southern